we'll start with the next talk. Nico Golden was so kind, and we especially thank Univention for sponsoring this event as well. And he will give a talk about easy and maintainable Owncloud setups in Active Directory environments. Our partnership with Univention is for us, I think, very good, for Univention the same. And I think he has a very interesting talk. Enjoy.
Thank you, John, for the introduction. Yes, it's great to be here this morning. It's my second time on Owncloud conference, and I'm enjoying it already. Who of you has used Owncloud in an Active Directory environment or is planning to do so? Okay, a few. It's good to see. I'd like to take you on a short bus ride with me and show you some ways how you can ease some pain points with that, and to make some things easier and maintainable in such an environment, running Owncloud in an Active Directory environment. My name is Nico Golden. As John already said, I'm Product Manager Apps at Univention, and my responsibility is, among others, to manage the relationship between Univention and Owncloud. And I'm proud to be here and give you some insights on this topic today. Okay, the presenter does not work manually. Okay, why bother with Active Directory environments at all? Well, we see that it is still very popular in organizations where they have Active Directory running, and they basically use it as a central instance for users and groups and to maintain them in a central way in a directory. And the benefit here is basically that such a directory, be it Active Directory or LDAP or whatever in common, those directory services, they help to centralize IT administration, they increase security and reduce efforts. In respect with Owncloud and Active Directory, it allows you to use your existing user identities with Owncloud and even with the groups, and you avoid double user administration and have it all in one place. So what's basically the typical way how you set it up? So the goal is you have your user identities in an Active Directory, and you want to be able to enable your users to log onto Owncloud with their credentials they have in Active Directory. The usual way is you have your operating system that you need to set up, like Debian or Ubuntu. You do a usual Owncloud installation on it. You may need to do some configuration to make it suitable to your needs. And then you use the LDAP extension for Owncloud, configure it, and hook it up to Active Directory. And afterwards, you are done and your users can log in, hopefully. The problem here is it takes you some time, at least 1 hour, maybe 2, or maybe longer. It depends on your experience, your know-how, the specifics of your environment. And the challenges are typically in such a step, those are manual steps and they are error prone, and you have to deal with them. Also with updates, you have to check it and really take care of it as always. And it needs you some time. And also know-how about LDAP setup with Active Directory is very helpful in such an environment. And if you are doing it the first time, it takes a little bit more time for that. Having the same goal but a different starting point is here using the Owncloud Appliance that you can find on owncloud.org or owncloud.com. It's a virtual machine already pre-configured, and it's based on Univention Corporate Server. I will come to what UCS is later. So you have all the steps that involve installation of the operating system, installation of Owncloud, the configuration and the LDAP setup. You have it all in one block, and then the result is the same. Your users can log in. And the estimated efforts for this is about 20 minutes. And the benefits here is, well, you have the result, and it gives you more options on how to deal with your user identities in Active Directory. And Owncloud is already pre-configured to use the identity management here. And I would like to come to those different scenarios I mentioned here. But first, what's Univention Corporate Server? Univention Corporate Server, which is the underlying operating system for the appliance, is an enterprise Linux distribution derived from Debian GNU Linux. It is basically an alternative to Microsoft Windows Server with a focus on identity management and infrastructure management. And it gives you the possibility to even have Active Directory functionality driven by the Samba project. Furthermore, we have a marketplace-like environment, we call it App Center, which simplifies the deployment and also the lifecycle management of enterprise solutions like Owncloud. Worldwide, there are a couple of organizations that are using Univention Corporate Server. They are ranging from a few users with up to environments with 30 million users in the directory service. We even address school and education environments, like in Germany, basically the school districts, and with UCS at School as an extension to UCS, it provides special management functions to teachers here. The main focus around UCS is basically identities and infrastructure. And that's where we come from. That's what we are doing. And the App Center itself in the marketplace is basically just a next step on this to simplify all the tasks that are involved with solutions to extend your environment. Okay, let's come to the appliance. When you download it and you fire it up, you will come to this screen at one point during the setup, and here you see 3 points, and I will come to them in detail later. Here you basically configure how your appliance should behave in a domain. And when you have done all this, then you are greeted with such a nice welcome screen here. It is the sign for the setup is finished, and also when you reboot the appliance, you will get there as well. And afterwards, you go to your web browser on your client and you open up this IP address, or if the client is already using the name service of UCS, you can use the name of the server itself, of course. And all the other things is done via web administration. So now to the scenarios I mentioned before. The first thing that you could choose during the domain setup is a standalone UCS domain, where you may say that does not relate to Active Directory. Well, I want to mention it for completeness. This is the default mode in the Owncloud Appliance. So you set up your system and you create your own domain in the sense of an Active Directory domain or a Windows domain, and this is the default for the appliance. This system is then the first one, and you can add other Univention Corporate Server systems to this appliance. For the directory service, OpenLDAP is used, and Owncloud integrates with this OpenLDAP service and uses the identities here. And already with this setup, you can extend it afterwards when the appliance is running with the so-called Active Directory compatible domain controller, which installs Samba to the machine, and then you have Active Directory functionality and can use your Windows clients or other systems that need Active Directory functionality. So here basically this is the starting point to bring up Active Directory without Windows, but with using Univention Corporate Server and Samba. The second one is basically an extension to the first one. When you already have a UCS system that you want to use, you just take the appliance, join into this domain, and then you have the same result. You can use the identities that are already there. The third scenario is basically what I wanted to refer to, or the third and the next one as well. Here, from the starting point, when you configure the appliance and you select this option, what happens here? Univention Corporate Server takes over the role of an Active Directory member, and it joins into the Active Directory domain. And the result here is that UCS works like a kind of a proxy, or like a directory service proxy. You can imagine this picture. And all the directory service related requests that are going to UCS are kind of proxied by it and going to Active Directory. Owncloud does not need to be reconfigured in a way. It just uses the same LDAP configuration, and the LDAP itself takes care of everything here. The benefit here is you have everything from Active Directory. It is a single source of knowledge for all your identities, and other attributes that are needed, for example, by Owncloud, are still saved in the UCS directory. For example, you can control which user can can use Owncloud and is allowed to do so. The benefits here is you have your existing Active Directory, you can use it, and there's no separate configuration needed for Owncloud in this place. And the fourth scenario is you have an Active Directory domain and you do not really want to touch it or change it, and somehow it needs to be separate from the Owncloud appliance. Then you can connect those two domains and synchronize the user data here. What you have is two separate domains and basically a copy of the identities from the Active Directory to UCS or vice versa. You may also have the requirement to use an Active Directory and you already have UCS. Then you can use this setup here to copy those data. The modes are one direction or both directions, and you decide with a mapping what kind of attributes from the user objects need to be synchronized here. And this one requires the Active Directory connection app, and basically the preparation is you set up your Owncloud appliance as a separate domain, and then later on you configure the Active Directory connection app here. And the last and fifth scenario is more a special case. Univention Corporate Server gives you the possibility to even migrate away from Microsoft Active Directory Server. It requires some preparation for the appliance though. For example, naming conventions you need to take care of. Those are written down in the documentation. And the result is a drop-in replacement for your Active Directory server by UCS. You do not have to touch your Windows clients or other systems that are relying on Active Directory. You just do a drop-in replacement. And all the functionality is basically done by the Samba project that we integrate with our product. And this scenario requires the Active Directory takeover app, and all those apps that I mentioned are available in the App Center. So those are the scenarios, and now the question, why should you use the appliance at all? Well, the first thing is the environment that you get is very easy to set up, and the maintenance is at a quite low effort. The Owncloud appliance allows several use cases together with Active Directory that help you a lot with those tasks here. You have an integration with the identity management, so no double user administration is needed. You have a higher security, for example, when users leave the company or new users come, you just have to add them once and give them the rights to use Owncloud in a central place, and then they can start working with it. From the App Center, you have a broad portfolio with additional enterprise solutions in the App Center. I'd like to pick one example. Those are the online office solutions like Collabora and OnlyOffice, which also integrate nicely with Owncloud. And the appliance allows you to simply install those additional apps, and then you can start working with Office solutions in your browser and have also collaborative editing here. And for the whole thing, UCS and Owncloud, there's enterprise support available, of course, and the whole product itself is maintained by Owncloud and built by Univention, and those are companies who know to deal with enterprise software. Okay, now what's next? What to do after you get off the bus? Go to the Owncloud website and grab yourself a copy of the appliance for your favorite hypervisor. You see we support VMware ESXi, VMware, VirtualBox, and KVM here. So far my overview. I'm here all day, so you can contact me and ask your questions. I'd like to hear your feedback on this, and thank you very much. Yes, Holger. The question was, what is the difference in using the LDAP connection directly to UCS? Did I get it right? And between UCS and Active Directory? Okay, inside on. Yes. Yeah. Well, basically, the appliance uses the same implementation, or it's the LDAP add-on that's offered for Owncloud, and the advantage basically is, from my point of view, to control which user is able to use Owncloud at all. So we have this little check mark with the integration in UCS. I don't know really how it relates when you connect Owncloud directly to an Active Directory. I would assume that all users can log in or can use Owncloud at this point, and there is no differentiation here. Technically, what we do with the integration between Owncloud and Univention Corporate Server is we have a schema extension in the LDAP server on UCS, which controls which user is able to log in and not. And users are filtered by that attribute. And the benefit basically here is just you have the control which user in your directory service can use Owncloud. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you do not have to deal with the peculiarities of Active Directory and no need to change to do any changes on the Owncloud configuration when you use it when you use it in the appliance. So for the appliance, it's still the same. And yeah, there are some more technical details on all the stuff around dealing with Active Directory, and all those things are kind of abstracted away by UCS and using Samba here in this place. Are there any more questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day.